Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. It is the football review show. We're going to be taking a look back at both All-Ireland semi-finals. Armagh, famous win versus Kerry, famous day for the Yorkshire County. And of course, Galway as well, getting the win, getting the job done versus Donegal. We do usually do these on Mondays. I was at a wedding, obviously, over the weekend. Did see all the Galway-Donegal game and obviously haven't had a chance to speak about it just yet. But thankfully enough, the majority of people at the wedding were Galway fans. So everyone was in a great mood. And England losing as well, even better. I was in London watching it. So, what a weekend. You don't really get many better weekends than that, in fairness. Matthew, Galway and Armagh in an All-Ireland final. Two teams that have always been I feel like it's two teams that have been at a similar trajectory over the last couple of years. But at the start of the year, if you had predicted Galway and Armagh to get to an All-Ireland final, I don't think many people would have believed you. I think many people look at Dublin, look at Kerry, look at Derry. Not many would have looked towards Armagh and Galway, but look, fair play to both of them. And yeah, what a, I suppose, interesting All-Ireland final that's going to be in a couple of weeks' time.
Certainly, and thanks for having me on again, Aaron. Yeah, it's probably the All-Ireland final that most people would have wanted when you look at it from a neutral point of view. Like, even on the morning of Sunday, before the Galway-Donegal game, I was in a position where I didn't really care who won the game. Well, obviously, it was going to be an exciting game, but for either Donegal or Galway to play Armagh in an All-Ireland final would have been absolutely brilliant. And it is a Galway Armagh final. The fireworks that they set off in 2022. I was privileged enough to be at that game on the hill, and that was some atmosphere. Hopefully, the final will be some atmosphere as well from a football standpoint as well. And it was just a great weekend overall. We got the games that we wanted. We got free-flowing attacking football. We got the shocks as well with Armagh beating Kerry. I'm not sure Galway Donegal would have been considered a shock. I probably would have said Donegal slightly so, but Galway got over the line, and that was a good moment for them. And I suppose it's just a good moment overall for the GAA fans over the weekend. Like N17 playing after Galway Donegal, it was just a brilliant occasion. And the DJ in Croke Park, as the lads at the GAA just said earlier, deserves a raise. Definitely does, to be fair. That was some tune to play even after the Cork and Limerick game last week. God knows what they'll put up next week and the week after. So Croke Park is definitely doing well at the tune side of things. And very good weekend of GAA action. We have new All-Ireland finalists. Obviously, Down win the Tailteann Cup over Gallant's Laois side as well was another highlight for the weekend. So a lot to delve into from the two semi-finals. And it's great that we do get Galway Armagh in the final, Cork and Clare in the hurling as well. So we will get new winners in both codes, which is absolutely brilliant to see as well. And what we want is new champions, new kids on the block. No disrespect to Dublin, to Kerry, to Limerick, to Kilkenny. These are the new teams we want on the block. We need new champions, and we are going to get them in both codes this year, which is absolutely brilliant for the sport in general.
Absolutely, yeah. D. Walt says here, I said lads weeks ago, Armagh Galway final, and you all laughed. Look, I think not many people would have predicted it really, but there we go. User 6 says here, Hon Armagh, yeah, absolutely. Armagh definitely getting a lot of plaudits and everything else. It has a real sort of feel of the 2010 All-Ireland Football Championship. I don't know if you'd agree with that. Like, all the big dogs have seemingly gone out. Like, Kerry are gone, Dublin are gone. In hurling, obviously, as well, it's a little bit open. To be fair, obviously, as a Dublin fan, would have loved to see Dublin get to the final. Like, no mistake about that. But as a neutral, it's absolutely brilliant. And obviously, we'll preview the Armagh Galway game in 2 weeks' time or whatever. But when you look at the recent meetings between those games, they've been very, very close. There's been a point in it either way, draws, penalties, so much drama. Whether the final produces that again, I don't know. But it's so much on the line, and what an opportunity for either one of those two counties now.
It's a marvellous opportunity when you think about it. Armagh haven't won the All-Ireland in 22 years, Galway in 23. So it feels like it's win this final or bust, basically, for both sides, and especially for Galway, because you look at the age profile of them. You look at Shane Walsh, he's 32 years of age. Damien Comer's around 32 as well. Paul Conroy's 35. Yes, there's a lot of young players in that Galway team, but those three lads in particular, if you don't win it this year, it's going to be very hard to win it in future seasons. And Armagh, near enough the same, but at the same time, Armagh are a very young team, but maybe it's a last chance saloon for Kieran McGeeney. He's been there for now 10 years. This is his real opportunity to get a major trophy on the board in his 10 years as Armagh boss. So, yeah, it's a big game for either side to go on and win. And you could argue it was a big game for Donegal as well to go on and win after the Armagh victory over Kerry. So yeah, it's just great that we're getting new champions. But I think in terms of a player point of view, I think Galway needed more. In terms of a manager point of view, I think it's going to be Armagh. They wanted more because Kieran McGeeney obviously has to get a medal, an All-Ireland medal or a league medal or a championship medal or Ulster championship medal on his CV sooner rather than later. So it's going to be interesting to see if that happens. But honestly, 2 weeks out from it, Aaron, it's so difficult to call. Like both sides have the same historical relevance. Both sides are playing the same way this year. Both sides have been brilliant all throughout the championship this season. Both sides have had their successes over the last few seasons. Both sides have tested teams up and down the country. So it is a much level playing field going to the final. So it's going to be very, very difficult to call in a few weeks' time. And yeah, I still can't call it. Maybe I'll call it next week when we preview the All-Ireland final. But for right now, it's going to be very difficult to call.
Yeah, Kieran says here that win over Kerry could be the spark that lights the Armagh fire. And Jack says Galway for the win. N17 will ring across Dublin. I suppose we'll start with the Galway game because I didn't get a chance to discuss it on Sunday evening or Monday or anything like that. So I wanted to start with this game. Donegal 15 points. Galway 114. Massive result obviously for the Galwegians. Very, very even game. Very good game. Like in the first half, both sides going back and forth. I don't think there had been a margin bigger than a point really up until the final 10 minutes or so. And then Galway, like when both sides were incredibly accurate, I felt, and it was just a ding-dong basketball game. And I think the difference really, Donegal lost their composure in the final 10-15 minutes, which you don't really associate with Donegal. And Galway found it and got over the line. And once again, didn't concede a goal in the process, which is very impressive against the Donegal side that, as we very well know, very, very good on scoring goals. So, yeah, massive for Galway in the end. And a game that could have went either way, but you would have to say that the deserved side came out on top.
Yeah, and I suppose from the first half, it was a very good game. It was end-to-end. Donegal were kicking lovely scores out of the bar. Galway were as well. Like both sides, you look at the stats and everything like that, it was very, very similar. 27 shots each. The turnovers were very similar, 11 each actually. And kickouts, Galway won 21 of their own kickouts out of 22. Donegal, the same stat. It was the same stat all over the field. Freeze conceded, Donegal conceded 6, Galway conceded 5. It was just like it was similar all over the field. Obviously, the same scores on the scoreboard as well, 15 scores to 15. The big score that made the difference, though, was the goal. And I will say this, Aaron, Galway deserved to be in the All-Ireland final and all that, but it was a fluke. It was an absolute fluke. Paul Conroy, he meant a point. He dropped short. Matthew Tierney, fair play to him. He did brilliantly to catch Sean Patton off guard. But even you could see Sean Patton's facial expression coming off the pitch. He was disappointed with that. But at the same time, how on earth do you deal with that sort of situation? It's very difficult to do so. So, yeah, I feel sorry for Donegal at that standpoint. But Donegal have been shooting so well up until now in the championship. But they got a 36% shooting accuracy in the second half. And I just think, especially towards the end of the game, Oisin Gallup missed a shot. Patrick Morgan missed a shot and went wide. There was a few others that went short as well. Michael Langan, when there was no other options available, ballooned it into the canal end. And that was probably an image that could probably burnt into our brains on Sunday evening as well. I just think Donegal panicked. And they've had a brilliant year. It's just a shame that it had to end this way. But I just think the Donegal players, they would have usually got under the pressure. They would have, calmed it down a small bit. They would have kicked the balls over the bar. But I think at that moment, they just lost the run of themselves. They panicked. And it was just unfortunate because obviously Jim McGuinness has done an amazing job with Donegal to win the Ulster title and to get to the All-Ireland semi-final in the first place is an outstanding achievement. But Galway just had that grit towards the end of it. And I was seeing some stat on Twitter as well. And this epitomises how even the sides were as well. In the first quarter, the sides were level in scores in that first quarter. The second quarter, the exact same level. Third quarter, level. The last quarter of the game, Galway won it by 3 points to 1. So that was the key kind of winning of the game from a Galway point of view. They seemed to have that extra gear in them to go on and win the game in the end. And there were some big moves, like Jim McGuinness. Again, Donegal have had a brilliant season, not bashing him whatsoever. But the decision to bring off Paddy McBrearty was baffling, I'll have to say. He's 30 years of age. He still has a lot in him. And to bring a kicker like that off at that stage of the game, you'd have to wonder what was going on in Jim McGuinness's head at that point. But look, it does happen. Donegal will move on to next year, and I'm sure there'll be a better team because of that. But there were some key moments as well. Obviously, the Kieran Thompson free conceded at the end. At first, I thought it wasn't a free. I thought the ball bounced, and automatically that means he didn't pick it off the ground. But Peter Canavan rightly pointed on the Sunday game as well. Brendan Cawley did his homework. That was a foul. That was a touch on the ground. As harsh as it may seem, it is a free. And Brendan Cawley deserves a lot of credit for that as well. So, brilliant win from a Galway point of view. They're in the All-Ireland final now, deservedly so. But I'll say it again, Aaron, that goal, which was the deciding score of the game, was a bit fortuitous.
Yeah, some crazy goals at the weekend as well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Mark Barry's goal for Laois. Both goals in Armagh versus Kerry as well came from long balls in. So bit of a mad weekend for goals.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I suppose like even the 3 goals scored in the quarterfinal this weekend were all drop short balls when you think about it. Like the Kerry goal, David Clifford dropped the ball short. In the Armagh game, it was Rian O'Neill that dropped the ball short, and then an error from Shane Ryan, and then Paul Conroy did the exact same in the Galway game. So it was just a mad weekend for goals, and it wasn't about scoring extravagant goals or whatever. To be fair, Mark Barry's wasn't that of a surprising goal or anything like that. It wasn't a one that you catch off guard or things like that. It wasn't a lucky sort of a goal. It was an outstanding finish, and I'm sure we'll get onto that a bit later, but that goal from Paul Conroy was just, and Paul will know this himself. It was a ball drop short that ended up in the back of the net. It's as simple as that. And yeah, it was just a difficult time for a Donegal point of view to concede a goal like that. But yeah, it was the ultimate score that decides the game.
Absolutely, yeah. Up the Dub says here, can you read out my comments out loud? I'm sub to you. Yeah. Let me know what the comment is, or maybe that is the comment. I don't know. But we've no other live comments in there. But do let me know what it is. So there we go. Yeah, look, absolutely huge from a Galway perspective, as you said. The goal from Paul Conroy, definitely a little bit fortuitous and all the rest, but in fairness to Galway, like, one thing I would give them massive credit for is that they're finding a way to win games. Like, they're finding a way to get over the line. You think of, like, even go as far back as Sligo. Like, Sligo had them beat going into the final couple of minutes. They get a late goal and obviously turn that game around. They were, a couple of points down in injury time against Mayo, scored 3 on the bounce, obviously, to overcome that in the Connacht final. Against Dublin, they were behind. They looked beat. They found a way to come back. I think they only went behind maybe once or twice in this game. There was never really a big margin. But even at that, in the final 10, 15 minutes, they're finding a way to get over the line. And you would have to say it is their big players, like Shane Walsh, outstanding, 3 points from him. Damien Comer, obviously very good. Paul Conroy, 1-1. Obviously, as you said, the goal may be a little bit fortuitous, but their big players, time and time again, are standing up. And they do look like real sign of champions, really, because they've been here before. They've gotten over the line in semi-finals. It's a second All-Ireland final now in 3 years. They've won multiple Connacht titles in that process as well. It feels like the natural step is to win an All-Ireland, and it's very hard to see past them. Like, I think Armagh will be there, obviously. I mean, they're in the final. I don't think there'll be much between them, but I probably would edge towards Galway at this point, to be honest, because of that fact. They're finding ways to get over these games more and more often. I know Armagh, obviously, their win against Kerry is huge as well, but Galway, they're finding ways to win these games, which is huge.
Exactly. So, and another amazing stat as well, they've conceded 1 goal in the championship overall. Coincidentally, that was against Armagh. Tiernan Kelly's finish after the Conor Gleeson kick out. And what I would say from a Galway point of view as well, not only that they are winning games, it's not as simple as that. There's a few elements to this. Number one, starting off, the goalkeeper, Conor Gleeson, has got a lot of criticism throughout the championship, including from some people. I do think he's had a brilliant season myself. And even the kick out yesterday, you see in the first half, Donegal went on manic press what you usually do to win back the ball. But Galway still won 21 out of their 22 kickouts. Like, that was a majority of them long in the first half for any of our listeners that weren't in the know. So that was incredible from zone referee Conor Gleeson to find his men, to pick pockets, and that was brilliant from his point of view as well. The defence and that full back line has stayed together since under 20. Johnny McGrath, Sean Fitzgerald, and Jack Lynn. And I think that's a masterstroke for Pádraig Joyce, because all three of those players bounce off each other. They know what their games are, and they seem to be a very, very settled full back line. Dylan McHugh at number 5. Probably, well, there is an argument. Can he be player of the year? Is he player of the year? Is it Conor Turbot from Armagh? We'll talk about Turbot in a bit in the Armagh Kerry game. But Dylan McHugh's been outstanding this season. You look at the centre back as well. From a Galway point of view, he's done absolutely brilliant in this championship. Even Sean McCurran at 7 to recover from the injury that he did get in the championship. Liam Silkis, what I meant at centre back, has done really well. And to keep John Daly out of the team, John Daly was nearly an all-star nominee 2 years ago, and he can't even get back in the team. And it's not that John Daly is performing badly; it's because Liam Silk is doing so well in that centre back role, so he deserves a lot of credit. In midfield, Paul Conroy is doing excellent. Cian Darcy did well to come in for Sean Kelly as well. And when you look at Galway in the past, it was usually Shane Walsh, Damien Cormer. If you stop them two, you go a long way to beating Galway. Their top scorer this year is Rob Finnerty. So that's a start. They are bringing through new players, and they are excelling. John Maher, he might not be the most, I would say, elaborate centre forward in the world. He might not be the most eccentric centre forward, but he definitely does a job around the middle of the park. So he deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing. Matthew Tierney makes a lot of selfless runs as well. So Galway are excelling in nearly every part of the pitch as well. And these older lads still find another gear in them. Like Paul Conroy, I'm amazed by that guy. And I looked during the week, I was doing researching for this game, for an app during the week. And I was looking for players to watch. I decided to go on Paul Conroy to get a few details on him. I was surprised to look at his age, look it up on Google. He's 35 years of age. Paul Conroy is 35 years of age. He's a midfielder. He's been in and around the block for a few years now, under Alan Mulholland, under Kevin Walsh, now under Pádraig Joyce. He has been around the block for some amount of time. And to continue the way he does in midfield for a full game, you have to give a lot of credit to him. He has the engine of I would say the engine of a cheetah, to be honest with you, Paul Conroy. He's an absolutely incredible player in many ways from this Galway point of view, with not just his engine and not just his ability to continue up until the very last minute. His ability just to notice things in the game, attacking and defensively, he's incredible, and he deserves an all-star as well this season as well. And even when Shane Walsh went off from a Galway point of view, there was no panic around there. Like, Galway still knew how to get it to their forward. Damien Comer, for example, did scores during the week from a Galway point of view. He's only scored 5 points in the championship. That means other players are stepping up, and Comer still enjoys this role. He enjoys the team role, which makes a great team player, obviously. Finnerty kicks the balls over the bar. He's still brilliant in the championship as well. As I mentioned, Dylan McHugh has had a brilliant championship. Killian McDade has done well around his role at wing forward as well. And Pádraig Joyce was criticised, including by myself last year, for maybe putting midfielders into certain positions, like Killian McDade around the wing, John Maher centre forward. But Pádraig Joyce has made it work this year. He's put Sean Kelly from full back to midfield. I know he didn't play against Donegal. Hopefully, for a neutral's point of view, because he's an incredible player, that he will be available for the All-Ireland final. But he's put Sean Kelly in midfield throughout the season. He's put Paul Conroy. He's stuck to his principles. He's put John Maher at centre forward. He's put Killian McDade wing forward. He has shown that even if you have 3, 4, 5 excellent midfielders, you still have pockets to put them in. And that has created a panel from a Galway point of view as well. Like Johnny Healy, for example, John Daly, haven't done a lot wrong, but they're still on the bench because the other players are performing at such a high level. Tom O'Culhan as well is performing brilliantly. Cian Hernan is another young player coming in. I know he didn't play against Donegal as well yesterday because of an injury, but he's another exciting player to look at. Tom O'Culhan is an excellent option to come off the bench. So Galway are excelling, and they're building a panel as well, which wouldn't have been seen from Galway teams down through the years. Like, for example, in the 2022 final against Kerry, Kerry had a much better bench than Galway. They had the likes of the Killian Spillans, the Adrian Spillans to bring out at half-time. Galway had nobody on the bench that you could look at on the match program and think, oh, this is going to make a difference. this guy will make a difference. They had nobody. But now they've created a panel, and Pádraig Joyce and Cian O'Neill deserve a lot of credit for building a panel and for building a mentality in this Galway team. And the fact as well, and this stat is brushed under the carpet as well, they've won the Connacht Championship for 3 years in a row. Like, not many people will know that as well. And the least goals they're conceding as well, the attacks they're going on, the shooting accuracies, it's all looking good from a Galway point of view. All that's missing is the Celtic cross in their cabinet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Wanderer says here, underestimated Galway, took fisted points whenever they had the chance, and the forwards followed in the Galway short ball, putting off the keeper up Galway. Very well played from Donegal. Yeah, and I think another player, you might have mentioned him there, but Dylan McHugh, like, I think he's been outstanding. Like, obviously from wing back, 2 points versus Donegal. A lot of people maybe now saying he could be a front runner for Footballer of the Year, certainly an all-star. Like, he's been outstanding as well for Galway, and in particular in this game. Like, I just when you look at Galway, like the physicality and size of them as well, I think is, like, can't be overlooked, especially for lads that are still very, very young and still quite early on in their development. And I do think people, maybe because Matthew Tierney's been around for a few years now, Jack Lynn, Dylan McHugh, people think these are, lads who've been around for a long time. They're still a fairly young enough team. So, like, even if they weren't to get over the line in a couple of weeks' time, they're not going anywhere.
They are, and you mentioned Dylan McHugh there. He's had an amazing year, and he's not just defensively, but the clutch scores he's getting. He got one against Dublin in the quarterfinal, if you remember that, Aaron. That was an outstanding score. And he got 2 points in this semi-final as well against Donegal. And he deserves a lot of credit for it, not just his attacking impetus, but his defensive abilities as well for turning the ball over. He's been outstanding in this championship and deserves a lot of credit, obviously. And rightly so, he's up there for Footballer of the Year. Another few players as well. One that's really impressed me, a cornerback, I rode the same side, coincidentally, as Dylan McHugh, Johnny McGrath at number 2. I think he's been superb this championship. I think he got about 4 or 5 turnovers in this game. Well, maybe not that high. I think he got about 3. But in context, Galway got 11 turnovers in this one. He might have got 5 or 6, Johnny McGrath. But he was a brilliant performer in the semi-final as well. Sean Fitzgerald deserves a lot of credit for full-back as well. Obviously, Liam Silk does getting 2 points. The clutch score he got at the end as well. So them Galway defenders have done a lot in this championship, both defensively and offensively. They've done absolutely outstanding in this season. They've only conceded 1 goal, as I mentioned before. Attacking-wise, they've done really well as well. They obviously scored the goal against Donegal that mattered most. They're troubling a few goal chances against Mayo as well. I remember John Maher nearly hit the back of the net now, and they have more goal chances than Mayo. So not only are they not conceding goals defensively, but they are limiting the goal chances that other teams have as well, which is very, very impressive from a Galway point of view. And they're just very hard to break down. Like Donegal, when the going got tough, and Donegal have been outstanding all year. When the going got tough, Donegal couldn't break them down, points-wise or goals-wise. And that is probably just a testament to how good Galway have been this year. So they deserve a lot of credit for getting to this All-Ireland final. And obviously, best of luck to them. And to be honest with you, they have, if you were to pick a team right now going to the All-Ireland final who has performed better throughout the whole season, you'd probably say Galway. Defensively and offensively, they've done brilliant. But we'll have to see if that translates to on the pitch in the All-Ireland final in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, Oliver says here, are we talking about the Galway that were well beaten by Mayo, who threw away the 2-point lead thanks to poor refereeing decisions, or the Galway team put out by Sligo only to get a goal last minute? Galway were well beaten by Mayo. Yeah, I don't know. Was that last year's game? Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but look, Galway have evolved hugely, like really since last year. I think since they got beaten by Mayo, and even at that, it was only a small defeat. And as for the refereeing decisions, like there was 1 or 2 decisions that went against Mayo in that game, but like even at that, like Cillian O'Connor still had a chance towards the end of the game to level it up. And yeah, I think it's more about what Galway have obviously done since then, in my opinion. But in terms of Donegal, like where ultimately did it go wrong? Like, do you think it was nerves that got the better of them in the final 10-15 minutes? Because like accuracy wise, they've been brilliant up until then. They've been playing some brilliant stuff. And maybe it is a reminder that Donegal, whilst they have won an Ulster title this year, they haven't been in an All-Ireland semi. Like, this was their first All-Ireland semi-final in 10 years. And you could see that, to be fair, going into the final 10, 15 minutes or so, because playing in Croke Park as well, where they probably haven't played too often, really, in the last sort of 10 years or so, they did look a little bit uncomfortable, I thought, going down the home stretch.
Possibly so, but it's just unfortunate that the season had to end this way for Donegal, and I think their fans were proud of them, even when N17 was blaring around in Croke Park. You see, like, even I've seen some videos of Donegal fans actually staying around and joining the Galway fans, which was actually great to see. And it just shows that Donegal they were disappointed, obviously, but they were delighted with the year that they had overall. Because when you think about it at the start of the year, when Jim McGuinness came in, actually think back to when they lost to McConnell Park against Tyrone in the All-Ireland qualifiers last year. They had a rough year under Paddy Carr and then under Ed O'Rourke. They had a rough year last season. And to think that Donegal would win an Ulster Championship and even get promoted from Division 2 to Division 1, like, even I was thinking as a Cork fan, I was thinking, Donegal coming down, okay, I think we could take them. But as soon as Jim McGuinness was announced as manager, and then I was seeing it, and I was like, yeah, they're going up. I just knew it. I knew Donegal didn't have probably the players to compete with the likes of the Galways, the Armaghs, the Kerrys. But as soon as this guy comes in, he changes the whole mentality of the team, and he deserves a lot of credit this season. He's a great coach and should be remembered as one of the greats of Gaelic football. Definitely, the performance against Derry in this championship was immense. The performance against Armagh in the Ulster final was absolutely outstanding. The performance against Tyrone in the All-Ireland group stage was brilliant as well. And even when they did lose to Cork and Páirc Uí Rinn, like, their shooting accuracy was very, very high. They conceded 3 goals that day. It does happen. Like, Donegal definitely dusted themselves down after that. Against Louth, they were brilliant at Croke Park, hitting 75% shots over the bar. I think on Sunday they just panicked on. And I just feel like it wasn't anything that they did terribly wrong or anything like that. It wasn't tactics. Maybe the Paddy Brearty thing, bringing him off, was a bit of a wrong move from Jim McGuinness's point of view. But overall, like, they didn't do much wrong, the management team with Jim McGuinness. And in the first half especially, it seemed to be going swimmingly well. But then, when Paddy McBrearty went off, when Oisin McGallen missed a shot, the confidence then started to drain out of them. And Galway just had a lot more steel in them going down the home stretch. And that can happen. Like, and I will say this from a Donegal point of view, there is a lot to learn from this semi-final. And as soon as Jim pinpoints what exactly went wrong in this semi-final, he will bring it into his managerial reservoir and go on to next year and make Donegal a better team. Because you look at 2011, I know 2011 and 2024 are completely 2 different years, because on Sunday they played relatively well, playing brilliant attacking football at times. Against Dublin, it was the worst games of Gaelic football I've ever seen, to be honest with you. But it's similar kind of trajectories when you think about it, because Colin Parkinson actually put out a tweet as well that Donegal don't score much goals. They scored 1 against Louth. They didn't score any against Cork, none against Galway, none against Tyrone, 2 against Clare. But Clare, let's be honest, they're a Division 3 team. None against Armagh, none against Tyrone in the Ulster Championship game. Yes, they scored 4 against Derry, but maybe that was just a flash in the pan, to be honest with you. And that's what Donegal need to do next year. They need to get more finishers. They need to get Oisin Gallen more confidence in front of goal, into the back. There's no point. There's no issue with Oisin Gallen taking points. He's been incredible at that this season. So has Paddy McBrearty. So has Paddy Morgan. But getting into goal scoring opportunities, they need these guys firing to get any goal chances next year. And I think if Jim does pinpoint it, which he probably will, knowing the manager he is, Donegal are going to be a serious team next year, and everybody needs to watch the space.
Yeah, Kieran says here, Brendan McCall should be nailed on All-Star. A rock of fullback kept Comer quiet, not an easy task. Yeah, he was absolutely outstanding. There's no doubts about that. Oliver says here, Galway's physicality is all that kept them in at Armagh, or a different prospect, and we'll match them on that front. Yeah, look, both sides are very even in terms of physicality. I wouldn't say physicality is all that kept Galway.
Aaron, I think I've snapped the note. I think Oliver's a male man, and he's a bit.
Yeah, you only noticed that now.
Yeah, but look, it's a normal reaction. Look, Mayo, they've been at All-Ireland finals for a few years. They haven't won it since 1951, and now the thought that Galway could actually win one before Mayo do after so much success going into finals for Mayo, it'd be a bit of a kick in the teeth. So I can understand Oliver's frustration in that standpoint.
Fair. Well, look, we'll move on anyway. We'll move on and we'll speak about Armagh because it was it was a famous win. There's no doubt about it. 118 to 116. Very much in the spirit of how this year has gone in Gaelic games in terms of shock, surprises, and everything else. Like Dublin beating or Galway beating Dublin. Obviously Cork beating Limerick. You obviously had the Galway ladies beating Dublin as well. Dublin Camogie beating Kilkenny. So many surprises all around the place. And look, nobody said this was a sure thing for Kerry. Like, there was plenty of people I've seen who backed Armagh. Plenty of people gave them a huge chance. But I think a lot of people would have felt, given Armagh's record in tight games, as it was very well known before this match, it was going to be very, very tough to beat a team that played in the All-Ireland final in the last 2 years, essentially, and obviously won it 2 years ago. That been here and done it time and time again. But look, some amount of fight from Armagh, like to come from 5 down, getting the goal, turning it around in the way that they did. Rian O'Neill really stepping up and showing the player that we all know he is. His point, obviously, just before the end of normal time. The catch, obviously, in extra time as well. Like, just incredible, really, from Armagh here.
Yeah, an incredible performance. And I was questioning whether Armagh would win this game because of the fact not many teams have run at Kerry. And I felt before the game Armagh needed to run at Kerry, but I'm not sure. I wasn't sure whether they had the tenacity to do that. To be fair to Armagh and to be fair to Kieran McGeeney, they ran at Kerry from the very off, and they deserved the win because of that. And yeah, they just looked fitter than Kerry going into the final few minutes, especially in extra time, which was very surprising because Armagh have had very tough battles all throughout the year against the likes of Galway, against Derry, against Donegal, against Down. They've had some tough challenges. And for them to be more fitter than Kerry going to the last few minutes of extra time, I think speaks volumes of the way what Armagh are doing off the pitch and what Kieran McGeeney and the strength and conditioning coaches are doing off the pitch. And to be fair to them, deserve a lot of credit. But it does raise a lot of concerns about Kerry. When you look at it, they haven't had a test in this championship. The toughest test that they did get before the semi-final was against Cork and Killarney, a 3-point win. So you just wonder what on earth happened in the last few minutes. Why did they look so unfit? Why were players cramping up? Jack O'Connor has a lot to answer for, in my opinion, over that, and we will get on to Kerry, I'm sure, later on. But this day belongs to Armagh, and the weekend belongs to Armagh, and deservedly so they won the game. And he mentioned Rian O'Neill there. The point he got, not just right before full time of normal time, the one he got in the last 10 minutes, I don't know if you remember the 1 hour where he curled it over the bar on his right foot. That was an incredible score and a pressure cooker situation score as well. The score he got at the end of normal time was just mesmerising. An unbelievable score. And Seamus Brady from Montclair said this as well on his podcast last night. Made a very good point on Rian O'Neill. He knows how to kick in tough situations. Because you look at the game against Galway, kicked it over the bar to level the game. Against Monaghan, I know they lost that game at penalties eventually, but at the end of extra time, he was going to win it with that score near the end, and he did it against Kerry as well. Rian O'Neill knows how to kick these points in pressure situations down the trick, and he deserves a lot of credit, to be fair. A lot of players wouldn't have the tenacity to do that, but Rian O'Neill definitely does. And a few other players performed brilliantly as well. Barry McCambers was outstanding from wing back and anticipated the ball for the goal brilliantly in that Kerry rear guard. Aaron McKay had an outstanding game for Armagh, and I've seen a tweet during the week or during the weekend that the two nails on all stars from an Armagh point of view are Aaron McKay and Conor Turbot, and I actually agree with that. McKay has been absolutely superb in the full back role, and Conor Turbot, and I mentioned him on my posts in the last 2 days. Like in these last 4 games, 24 shots, 2 goals, 50 points, 2-8 from play, 71% shot accuracy. We talked about Dylan McHugh being up there for Player of the Year. I think Conor Turbot is definitely up there for Player of the Year. Not like this year has been outstanding, but the last 2 seasons, he's been the one guy for Armagh that has kept them in games to kick the way he has, and he deserves a lot of credit as well for getting crucial scores. Like even the last play of the game, he could have easily passed the Barry McCambers down by his side to get the second goal for the win back, but he made the right decision at the right time. Fist the ball over the bar, 2 points up. Very hard for Kerry to come back into the game then. Armagh deserve a lot of credit. They ran at Kerry. They were the better team throughout. Especially from the second half onwards, Armagh dominated the game and they were just deserving winners. And even look at the stat from their shooting stats from the start of the second half to the end of extra time. Armagh's shooting accuracy was 62%. Kerry's was 30%. I don't know, would you say that Kerry were really, really bad from the start of the second half onwards, or were Armagh absolutely outstanding? Either way, Armagh deserved to be in the All-Ireland final, and fair play to Kieran McGeeney and his management team.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both, to be honest with you. I think Kerry were probably surprised by Armagh's intensity. Like, they seemed to pick up their intensity really towards the final 20 minutes, and whether it was a case of just trying to stay in the game and then sort of play their best stuff towards the end. I do think as well the crowd made a massive difference. So, like, there was definitely 70 to 80% of Armagh fans there, and I think when Armagh got the goal, the whole ground erupted, and like the players fed off that. There's no doubt about it. And I think Kerry struggled with that sort of chaotic nature. And I do think when games get chaotic, when games get a little bit crazy, I do think this Kerry team struggles, to be honest with you. We saw a little bit against Derry last year. We saw it against Dublin in the final when Paddy Small got the goal. I think Kerry were in control up until that point. And it was similar in this game. When Barry McCambridge got the goal, they really, really struggled then after that. And in terms of them gassing out and everything else, I do think there's an argument that maybe it's something similar you could apply to Dublin as well. Like, they hadn't really been tested all year, so they hadn't really had many battle-hardened games. They hadn't really come through many tough tests, whereas Armagh have, like this has been the regular for them. Do you know what I mean? Coming through tough games, like the groups, like getting the draw versus Galway, the Ulster Championship, like they were comfortable enough against the Rossies, but generally speaking, I think Armagh have been used to being in these type of games, and then they found the moment and they found the way, obviously, to get over the line. But yeah, like in a similar fashion to Galway, we talked about like what a huge moment it could be for them. This could be huge for Armagh, because I don't think we've ever doubted the potential or the players that they have, or that they don't have the potential to go on and do and win a game like this. It was just the mentality, because time and time again they were falling in these type of games, in these type of moments. This time around they got over the line, and that could be, as Kieran was saying earlier, the spark that lights the Armagh fire. And look, I mean, like an All-Ireland final between Armagh and Galway, like when you look at it in recent years, it's so hard to call, and I'll probably change my mind like about 20 times between now and the final. But yes, it's like just something else for Armagh to find the way to get over the line.
When you look at the record over the last few seasons, actually, like since 2023, they've only lost one championship game. If you disregard penalties, which you should, to be honest, I count those as draws. If you disregard those, Armagh have only lost one championship game since the start of 2023. And obviously that was the Tyrone game in the group last year, where they were underperforming in that first half. And Armagh have excelled in nearly every single game, and they've done absolutely brilliant in doing so. Like their levels of performance have been absolutely brilliant. When you look at the levels of teams that they have played, they brought Donegal to a penalty shootout, obviously Monaghan as well. They beat Down, they beat Fermanagh this season. They've drawn against Galway. They've beat Derry quite comprehensively. And I was saying even to John McMahon last week, if Armagh played the same way as they did against Derry, they could be too much to handle for this Kerry team as well. So like Armagh deserve a lot of credit for that. And like when you look at it over the last few seasons, both Galway and Armagh have definitely been in tight games, but they've nearly got over the line in each and every time. I mentioned Armagh only lost one game after normal time since 2023 in the championship. Galway has a similar record. They only lost 2 games after normal time last year by a point, against Armagh and against Mayo. So both of these teams, when you look at the stats and everything like that, both these sides deserve to be in an All-Ireland final. And they actually, like, in fairness to them, they got there. But they deserve it, in fairness to them. I think Evan Neutral is absolutely delighted that they are there. So brilliant for Armagh to get over the line this one. And the whole team deserve a lot of credit. Obviously, Ben Creeley and Niall Grimley in the middle of the park as well. Even when Kerry were on top, and once again on this, Niall Grimley was outstanding. The 2 points that he took as well. And Armagh could have easily got a goal in that first half. Andrew Murnan, if he stuck it under Shane Ryan, we could have been talking about maybe a more comprehensive Armagh victory. So like Armagh deserve a lot of credit, in fairness to them, for beating Kerry, for beating Roscommon as well. And they've definitely shown up a lot of doubters, and they're now in the All-Ireland final a lot. They have deserved it. Kieran McGeeney's deserved it. And I will say as well, we were on this very channel last year, and you asked me the questions about Kieran McGeeney and about the clubs not backing Kieran McGeeney, some of the clubs not backing him, some of the fans not backing him. And I think a lot of those fans and clubs will have their heads in the sand now. They're in an All-Ireland final. Like he has definitely proved the doubters wrong. And even I said to you last season, I say that Armagh are performing above themselves in many aspects, because you look at the underage, for example, they only reached one minor All-Ireland final out of underage over the last decade nearly, and that was only this season in the minor final. They didn't reach any under 20 All-Ireland final. They had no underage success. So Kieran McGeeney has done brilliant to mould these lads together in its own right, and to get through tight games like that, and to get Armagh from Division 3 to Division 1 deserves a lot of credit as well. So I think McGeady deserves a lot of credit even before the season for the job he did at Armagh. And I think a lot of people will recognise that this season. They'll recognise it even more if they get the Celtic Cross on the board. But he deserves a lot of credit for where he got Armagh from in 2015, from around Division 2, Division 3 area, not really competing for all of the quarterfinals, to where they are now. Think back to 2017, Aaron. They played against Tyrone in the All-Ireland quarterfinal and got obliterated. Yeah. 7 years later, they're in the All-Ireland final. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. McGee deserves a lot of credit for changing the fortunes around that. And yeah, it's just a brilliant achievement for the Archers County.
Absolutely, yeah. Miguel says here, I felt going in, if we stayed in the game for 40 or 50 minutes, we could then have a go and bring the athleticism into it, where we probably have the edge. Did you guys pick up on Kerry gassing out? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. No, I think you're spot on there. Kieran says Jack O'Connor was pure sick, couldn't even congratulate Armagh in his post-match interview. And Wama Da says here, in the week of that a fantastic Mayo man, John O'Mahony, and Galway's best ever manager passed. I was very happy that one of his best players, Porrick Joyce, managed a win to get to the final. And it also says here, RIP John O'Mahony. Yeah, the tribute as well for John O'Mahony prior to the Donegal game. Like, that was brilliant to see as well, in fairness.
It was, yeah, and he was just a legendary coach, not just for Galway, winning 2 All-Irelands, obviously, with Porrick Joyce in that team, and a few others like that, Michael Donald in midfield. Like, that was an outstanding Galway team. But to win a Connacht title with Leitrim, little old Leitrim in 1994, was an incredible achievement as well. He came back to Mayo as well to manage them to a Connacht title in 2009. John O'Mahony, a legendary football manager, and that was just class what the Galway players did to have the V, and then Dylan McHugh explained to Maurice Bros in the post-match interview that that symbolised the tactics John O'Mahony put on the pitch. So that was just class of the Galway players. And obviously John O'Mahony, legendary Gaelic football manager, will go down as one of the best Gaelic football managers in history. And obviously condolences to the O'Mahony family. May rest in peace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I echo those thoughts as well. And yeah, no, like, the tribute was absolutely brilliant to see as well, in fairness. As for Kerry, like, where do they go from here now? I mean, David Clifford taking a lot of slack on social media as well, which is not good to see. Like, yes, it wasn't his best game and everything else. But I do think when you look at it, and I think our good friend Kevin Kennedy from the GA Tracker app, like, he shared some very good screenshots on Twitter showing there was 2-3 men around David Clifford for the majority of the game. And look, fair play to Armagh, they're doing a brilliant job on keeping him quiet. But yeah, a lot of slack obviously coming in from David Clifford. Jack O'Connor getting a lot of slack as well. Some people saying maybe he should go, he should resign and everything else. I all think it's very harsh, to be honest with you, because they got to the All-Ireland final. They won the All-Ireland 2 years ago. They got to the final last year. That game was level in injury time. In this game, fair enough, things went wrong and they lost the game. But it is still a very good Armagh side. Like, it's not like they're losing in a quarter-final, to a Division 3 team or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a very, very good side that they lost. I don't know if because the standards are so high in Kerry or whatever it is. Did they underperform for the vast majority of this year? I think that they did. But they still have a very, very good side. And I don't think that the majority of their key players are going anywhere, to be honest with you. So, yeah, what do you make of the Kerry sort of downfall that's ensued a little bit in the last couple of days? I mean, it is great to see, obviously, as a Dublin, and I'm sure you're enjoying it as a Cork man as well.
Look, yeah, it was great to see Kerry lose, I suppose, from a Cork point of view. I was actually at a club game at the weekend, at Division 1 for hurling final, and I was obviously working for a club team that time, and I did get to watch the Kerry and Armagh game live. But then when the score was announced, the public announcer, Parky Ring, you could hear the cheer go around the stadium when that score was announced. So but that was probably just an oil out of the day, to be honest, from a Cork point of view. But from a Kerry point of view, look, a few things. Number one, David Clifford getting abuse online, disgraceful. Look, I'm a Cork fan, you're a Dublin fan, but we have to appreciate greatness as well. David Clifford's an outstanding footballer, and what he's getting online, both at the All-Ireland final last year and now this season after the Armagh game, is a disgrace. And even I've seen, Seamus mentioned this, John McMahon put it up on Twitter as well, of the Dublin Gaelic fans. I don't know if you see this, Aaron, saying that, where's David Clifford? He's nowhere to be seen around Croke Park. Like, put the phone away, man. Put the phone away. Like, look, with the greatest respect, Dublin are out of the championship. They went out of the championship at the quarterfinals. Put the phone away. Kerry got further than you. They got to the semi-finals. Yes, it might have been an easy side to draw, but Kerry got further than Dublin. That's a fact. So just calm it. Like, it's just ridiculous stuff that went on with David Clifford. He's an outstanding footballer, and most importantly as well, the guy has lost his mother only in May of 2023. Like the guy has been through so much in the last year and a bit. To put up abuse about him is an absolute disgrace. And anybody that puts up abuse to David Clifford towards the end of the game and makes snide little jokes, snide little remarks, you don't belong in GA family. You just don't. Just stay out of it. Simple as that. And David Clifford can still hold his head up high, because, and someone pointed this out to me on Instagram DM earlier, arguably Kerry wouldn't be in an All-Ireland semi-final at Croke Park without him. So please just respect him at this stage. Armagh did a good job on him. You have to give Armagh credit for that. And it was just a bad day at the office for David Clifford. It happens. He's human. And we should just leave it at that and just leave off the snide remarks. It's just childish at this stage, and any person that does that obviously does not belong within the GA. And on Kerry itself, look, I was just surprised from a Kerry point of view that they just gassed out in the last few minutes, as the comment just said, that they didn't face a tough challenge up until the All-Ireland semi-final, and then for them to gas out like that, the midfield look out their feet with Dermot O'Connor and Joe O'Connor, even Jason Foley went off injured with a kind of a hamstring injury. It just looked like Kerry just tired out, and it looked like they were bait towards the end of it. And it was just unfortunate for the likes of David Clifford, for the likes of Sean O'Shea, Tony Brosnan, who performed well all season, Thomas Sullivan as well, that they went out with the championship in that fashion. Like in the second, like even their shooting accuracy from the start of the second half onwards, 30%, wasn't really good enough either. And you talked about players, they might not leave the panel. Like, there are rumours speculating that Stephen O'Brien and Paul Ganey might call it a day. We'll have to see how that transpires in the next few months. There were rumours as well. Tony Lee from the Irish Examiner said earlier today that Killian Burke is in talk with Geelong in the AFL. That's a huge loss. If Kerry lose this young player from Milltown Castlemaine, that's a huge loss if that happens. And there are, in that article from Tony Lee as well, it said that Jack O'Connor is intending to stay on as manager. For me, Aaron, and this is putting my neutral cap on, not from a Cork or Dublin fan point of view, Jack O'Connor, I think he should probably walk. I think Kerry fans, listen to the Kerry fans on social media, I think they've had enough of Jack. I think they really have. When you look at it from the broad eye today, 3 All-Ireland championships, only 1 All-Ireland won. At the end of the day, Kerry are judged on winning All-Irelands. And Paddy O'Shea said that, great Paddy O'Shea said this in the past as well. The Kerry fans can get up their neck if they do not win an All-Ireland. That's a nice way of putting it. Obviously, Paddy said it more in an aggressive manner, but less than that, the better. But look, he's right. Kerry fans are very, very demanding. Like, if you do not get an All-Ireland, you're in serious trouble. And I do think Kerry fans have probably had enough of Jack. And the fact that Kerry are playing boring enough football for Kerry standards as well, they weren't attacking freely as well. And if you don't win an All-Ireland at the end of it was fine in 2022. They won the All-Ireland. But 2 years later, they've no All-Irelands in the bank out of 2 championship, out of 2 attempts in the championship. Like, it is concerning from Kerry point of view. If Jack does walk, who comes in? Tomás O'Shea, I think, is the ideal candidate. Under 20 manager, has managed Glanmire down in Cork. He was in the backroom team for Offaly. He's an ideal candidate to come in as Kerry manager. I was suggesting last night in Seamus' show, Eamon Fitzmaurice possibly. Seamus ultimately dismissed it. He was saying that he's busy enough with the Football Review Committee with RTE. I don't think he'll come back. I think he'd be an ideal candidate for Kerry. I think he did well with Kerry over the last 2 seasons when he was manager of the Kerry team. So there are options there from a Kerry point of view, but like either I think like I'd be shocked next season if like I put it this way: if Paddy Tally, for example, is in the Kerry job in the backroom team by the start of next season, I would be shocked. I would be shocked because we all know this way. I know they won the All-Ireland in 22. I get that, but this isn't the Kerry way. This is not the way Kerry historically play football. They play football on the front foot with attacking, brilliant attacking players like the likes of Clifford, O'Shea, Brosnan. They don't play this defensive stuff. Kerry have been doing this for 3 years now. They've yielded 1 All-Ireland. Was it really worth it when Dublin were at kind of a low ebb? Was it really worth it? So there may be some question marks to be had with the Kerry County Board in the next few months.
Yeah, like it's a tricky one. Like I'd stick with Jack O'Connor, to be honest, if I was a Kerry man, which thank God I'm not. But if I was a Kerry man, I'm sure some Kerry fans. I'm just joking. It's all fun and games. Look, Jack O'Connor, 4-time All-Ireland winner as a manager, 2004, 06, 09, 2022. Like, he is a winner and he does know how to get teams over the line. Like, I think if you shuffle the backroom team, as you said, maybe Paddy Tally, look, he came in, did a phenomenal job, obviously, with the Kerry defence and everything else. Maybe those ideas and everything else have not worked in this season because they have been conceding a lot of goals and they haven't looked as good defensively as previous years. So maybe it's time for a little bit of changes there. Eamon Fitzmaurice, I do think will be a good appointment. I do think it would be good to get him back, but I probably would lean towards what Seamus has said as well. I think he's only new on that Football Review Committee. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, he's just gone in there. It's a new role and everything else. Does he really want to give that up? The Kerry job, I think, will always be there. I think he'll give it 1 more year for Jack O'Connor, in my opinion. And then after that, there may be more there. And I don't think there's a huge amount of options really there, in my opinion. The Wall says that makes no sense. You mean to say the Armagh lads don't want it as much as Galway? Was that me or you who said that? I don't think I said that today.
I don't think I said it either.
It might have been to someone in the comments, maybe. I don't know. But there we are. But yeah, do let us know in the comments like what you think about Kerry going forward. Should they change their manager? What should they do? And yeah, completely echo what you said as well about David Clifford. Like, some of the abuse he was getting is way over the top. Obviously, look, we're like, there's obviously banter and there's abuse. There's a difference between the two. And I think some things have just been, very, very foolish and a little bit over the top, in my opinion. We'll move on then to the Tailteann Cup final. Down 14 points, Laois 2-6. Down in the end, just about getting over the line. Couple of big goals, obviously, from Laois throughout the match. Obviously, most notably, the Mark Barry goal towards the end, which I think might be a contender for goal of the year. But overall, massive result for Down. They end their run of finals. I think they'd lost every final in both league and championship since they last won the All-Ireland in 94 prior to this game. So they had a very poor record of finals up until this game. But they got over the line. They're in the All-Ireland series next year, and massive win for Down.
Brilliant win for them. And I will give myself a pat back in this. I did predict this correct. I said Down will win the Tailteann Cup. I think Seamus did as well. I think you did as well, Aaron. So that's I
think I did. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a few predictions. There's a few predictions that we got right, but the many other predictions that each of us predicted at the start of the year have gone awry. I'm sure we'll explain that as the season goes on, I'm sure. But look, it was a good victory for Down, but very, very nervy towards the end of it. So I didn't think Laois would put up a taste as much as they did in this game. Fair play to Laois, conceding 8 goals to then conceding none. Like, that is some turnaround. It just made no deal. I said this to John during the week as well. Whatever performance Laois put up, whatever results they put up over the weekend, they deserve a lot of credit for what they did this year. to win Division 4, to go up for Division 4, to get to the Tailteann Cup final while beating Kildare on the run as well, is an outstanding achievement. And to get 3 appearances in Croke Park, just McNulty deserves a lot of credit. And Laois had an amazing year themselves. It should be very proud of their efforts. The Mark Barry goal was outstanding. Outstanding finish. And he finished as the top scorer of the Tailteann Cup. So congratulations to him with 4 goals and 20 points. So he's had an amazing year. Probably one of the Tailteann Cup players of the season. Evan O'Carroll as well. So brilliant performance by Laois. Still deserve a lot of credit for them. For Down, I think the players kind of knew themselves they had to win this competition, didn't they? Like, they lost against Meath last season. Like, it was almost a winner bust for the situation for Down. They've lost 2 many finals, Division 3 final to Westmeath, the Tailteann Cup final to Meath. They wanted to stop that run, and they did so against Laois, and fair play to them for that. Like, Down had 27 different scores in this Tailteann Cup run, which is an outstanding achievement from them. And Conor Laverty is building a nice team there. And interesting enough, John McMahon mentioned on my podcast during the week a bit of a prediction for next year. He thought that Down would get to the Ulster final next season. So I don't know, like, watch this space. I think that personally, I think that might be a bit too far. Like, you have the likes of Armagh, Donegal, Derry will get better, I'm sure. Tyrone are still knocking about. Down are a good team though, so maybe it's a space to be watched. We'll have to see next season. But regardless, it's a brilliant season for Down. And they'll go into the All-Ireland Championship now under no pressure next season. It will be a tough team for anybody to face in that Summer World Cup.
Yeah, I think a lot would depend on the draw, really. Like, but even at that, like, I don't think Down would be Armagh. They've lost them in the last couple of seasons. I think Derry will be back next year. I think Tyrone will be back in the equation. I'm sure Donegal will probably be even better. I think Down are improving, and they are gradually each year getting better. But I feel like Down remind me a little bit of Armagh. Sort of like what you said when McGeeney was first in charge and obviously got them up from Division 3. It took, remember McGeeney's record in Ulster for years was very, very poor. Like, it took them a long while to even get their first couple of wins in Ulster under Kieran McGeeney. It's only really been the last couple of years things have really started to pick up. So, yeah, I do think Down are probably still a while away from that, but you do have to commend them massively for getting over the line, for getting the win. And obviously winning the Tailteann Cup final. Pat Haven, obviously very good. Danny McGill, very impressive as well. And as you said about Laois, I mean, Justin McNulty has done an extraordinary job. And look, aside from, I think if you were to look at managers of the year, you would probably look at Porrick Joyce maybe right now as the front runner. I think Kieran McGeeney's definitely in the conversation. Jim McGuinness isn't far away, but Justin McNulty has to get in there. Like, Laois, Division 4 at the start of the year, and they were within a kick of a ball from playing in the All-Ireland series next year. Like, that would have been some achievement if they had pulled it off.
Yeah, and they deserve a lot of credit, to be fair to them. Like, even looking at last season, they didn't get out of Division 4. They conceded 8 goals to Down under Billy Sheehan, and it looked a bit in disarray from a Laois point of view. And they've been in the doldrums for so many seasons now. Like, All-Ireland quarterfinalists, obviously in 2012, tested Dublin in 2014 under Tomas O'Flaherty. I remember that in Croke Park. They looked very, very good that time with the likes of Ross Munley, Paul Kingston. Had some brilliant performances, Graham Brody in goal. So Laois do have a history in Gaelic football, and they wanted to reignite that flame. And to be fair to Justin McNulty, he has done that, and he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done this season. An almost perfect record in Division 4. Obviously, they did lose to Offaly, but a bit of an asterisk. They still had a man sent off in the first half of that game. So arguably, if that man didn't get sent off, they would have won that game against Offaly. But maybe they were better off losing that game, actually, because when you looked at it, Offaly went up against Dublin and got hammered in Croke Park. The confidence started to drain. Whereas Laois went into the Tailteann Cup group stages. They drew against Carlow and beat Wicklow. They got a bit of luck along the way. They lost narrowly to Fermanagh, beat New York, despite a few scares. But then when they beat Kildare, that's like, this is a brilliant season for Laois to beat a Kildare team that were highly fancy to win this competition. And we could talk about Kildare, the downward spiral that they've had this season, which is the case. Laois deserve a lot of credit for overcoming that challenge in this quarterfinal and for overcoming Antrim in the semi-final. A good team under Randy McAtee as well. So Justin McNulty's had an outstanding year as Laois manager. And look at Division 3 next season. Look, there's a lot of good teams in there, actually. You look at Kildare, if they get their crap together, you have to feel like they have to do so next season. They'll be a serious team. Fermanagh, Clare, Laois, I'm thinking of other teams now. Offaly, if they get their crop kind of together as well. They have good young players coming through. So Division 3 is going to be very, very tough next season. But I fancy Laois to have a high enough finish in Division 3. Sligo was another team I forgot to mention. So the promotion battle is going to be very, very interesting in Division 3 next year. Can't wait for that to occur.
Yeah, it's going to be very strong. And look, Laois, as you said, you couldn't discount them. Like a lot of teams have done back-to-back promotions in the last couple of years, going from 4 straight up to 2. Laois could do it. Laois could definitely do it. I don't think they're a million miles off challenging for promotion next year in Division 3. And that would be an incredible achievement for Justin McNulty. Before we finish up then, player of the week, moment of the week, what are you thinking?
Player of the week, it's a tough one. I'd probably go for Dylan McHugh for Galway. Makes sense. Man of the match in that game and definitely up there for one of the players of the year. Moment of the week for me, it was not on the pitch. It wasn't on the pitch of play. It was after the match. The N17 from the Saw Doctors playing after Galway Donegal. You have to say that was brilliant. And to be honest, Aaron, I put that on at Spotify and I have not got that song out of my head. And to be fair, it's a banger. So I can't complain. It's a brilliant song and fair play to Galway for winning that. And fair play to the Crow Park staff and the Crow Park DJ for putting on that song. A brilliant choice.
Yeah, must be a new DJ recently because he's playing some good tunes or like right at the right times as well. Like they've upped their game there. Like we'll give them credit.
Definitely so. Like even after all, after the Cork and Limerick game last week, I think was it Freed from Desire after the Clare win over Kilkenny as well. Like he's throwing out some banging tunes, and you have to give him a lot of credit for that. In fairness, and I can't wait. To be honest with you, just for the tunes alone, would people want Cork and Galway to win the respective All Irelands? I don't know.
I mean, could, yeah, absolutely. But there we go. Yeah, look, for myself, player of the week, a lot of options. Dylan McHugh, I think, as you said, outstanding. 2 points. Paul Conroy was obviously brilliant. Looking at it from an Armagh perspective, you mentioned them earlier, Conor Turbo. You can't look past him, and he might just be the front runner for Footballer of the Year right now. And of course, Rian O'Neill, like he was outstanding in that game. And that point and catch alone at the end of extra time. Like I think that's more than good enough to win player of the week. So there we go. Moment of the week. The John O'Mahony tribute, as we said, was absolutely brilliant to see before the Galway game. And yeah, just Armagh beating Kerry as well. Like it's just absolutely great to see. So there we go. I think we'll wrap it up here. Cheers anyone who tuned in. Hit the like button and subscribe. We'll be back a little bit later on in the week to preview the All Ireland hurling final. And there we go. So yeah, cheers anyone who tuned in. We'll speak to you all again.